This is a team that collectively has been a bit of a disappointment. Individually, though, there are a lot more disappointing things than surprisingly good things about this team. And I don't know what that means necessarily. Guerrero's hit better. He's on a long hitting streak, still hitting under 300, a lot fewer home runs than you would have hoped. Bichette, well below expectation in terms of offense.
He might be the biggest disappointment, Bob.
Bichette.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you. Maybe we should address that a bit because we've sort of let him off the hook for much of this year. And I think probably because we were waiting for him to get hot. He really has not gotten hot for an extended period of time. And while his defense has been very good, offensively, he has struggled. Anybody got any analysis of him, Perk?
Yeah, he swings at too much garbage. That's all. He swings at everything. He's tremendously undisciplined hitter. Nothing ever seems to change there. So it just keeps happening. It's the same story. Every now and then he runs into one and he hits a home run and they pronounce him magnificent and isn't he great? Blah blah blah. And then he goes right back to striking out 3 times the next game quite often on pitches out of the strike zone. Like his what they call chase rate it's appalling. I don't know what it is, but if you just watch the games, you go, holy God, what's this guy swinging at? So, I mean, it's all part of the scenario on this team. I mean, nobody at the beginning of the year would have said that their best player for the first half of the season was Espinal. Both sides of the ball, Espinal had as many big hits as anybody. I'm sorry, but as many big hits as anybody, played good defense. Chapman played defense, couldn't hit for the first half of the season.
Yeah.
Guerrero didn't do much hitting. He hits in blowouts. A lot of these guys hit in blowouts, but not so much regular. And Guerrero's been a lot better lately, obviously. But you're right. We've just never seen Bichette take off, and it's disappointing.
So, hey, Rob. So, is the only issue with Bichette at the plate? I mean, do you see liabilities defensively or no?
No. I think he's improved tremendously as a shortstop. Is he elite at the position? No, he's not there yet, but he's improved a lot over the last 2 seasons. He does seem to go through the odd stretch where maybe mentally he gets a little messed up and will make the odd error. But yeah, I see the kid. He works at his defense as at least as hard as he does at his plate approach, which maybe he should mix that up a little bit. And I think he's become a reliable guy in the middle of that infield. And a lot of that has to do with the fact of the guy who's to his right, left, right. Chapman at third base has made Bo Bichette a much better defensive shortstop for sure. But I agree with Perk at the plate. He's snapped out of it a little bit over the last 3 or 4 games. He's hit pretty well, but he's such a high chase guy. And, like so much video work is done by these teams now. Pitchers know exactly how to attack, and they know that if you get stuff that's even not even close to the plate, if it's off the plate, you're going to get him to wave at it every once in a while. And until he gets a better approach that way and gets more disciplined, I think you're going to see him be a very streaky hitter. Obviously, he has the power and he's got the ability to hit the ball, but something between his ears doesn't allow him to have a great approach all the time.
I've never seen, is there a hitter in baseball that's had more 0-2 counts? I don't think I've ever seen one. It's staggering how many 0-2 counts he gets. And then it makes you wonder, are they actually working with him on that, on trying to be more selective and to lay off the pitches that most of them are outside? He rarely swings and misses on pitches that are inside. It's almost always that they're away. I don't get it.
Of the 3 hitting coaches on staff that travel with the team everywhere they go, I would hope that one of them would at least. In fact, one of the Dave Hudgens, his title is hitting strategist. So you'd hope that he'd be working with guys to kind of get them to, alter their approach.
Is there any sign anywhere that this is sinking in? Whatever it is they might be telling him? I don't see it. Do you?
No, not at all. I mean, and you made a really good point, Bob. He gets into so many 0-2 counts, and who owns the at bat at that point? It's the pitcher every time, right? I mean, you still might get lucky and get one, but when you get behind 0-2, the pitcher just licks his chops and says, I can do what I want right now. And that's where we've seen him. That's where we've seen some very ugly at bats from Bo Bichette in those situations.
Well, the interesting thing is, remember when he first came up, they started talking about his 2-strike approach at the plate where he wouldn't lift his lead leg the same way. And that allowed him to make contact. Well, I got news for you. That was happening with almost every at bat because he's always 0-2.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes you also wonder, well, if you hit the ball better by keeping your leg down, well, keep your leg down all the time, wouldn't you? I mean, I don't know. Does he think he can hit 50 home runs or 60 home runs? I don't think so. And I don't know why the power becomes such a big deal for him. Just hit the ball and get the ball in play, put the bat on the ball. And
yeah, when you look at it, you know, he goes down swinging a lot of times, like he's swinging for the fences. And if you compare him directly with Vlad Guerrero Jr., it's the opposite. I mean, you got to give Guerrero a lot of credit, even though he's not having the season that he had last year. The type of hits that he's getting this year, like it's like professional hitter, right? I mean, he'll slap one out to right field, he'll bounce one off the wall in left field, and he'll hit one out of the ballpark. He'll do whatever you want, whatever's going to get him on base, whatever's going to get him a base hit. But you don't see any of that kind of approach with Bichette, or very rarely anyway.
All right, let's address a couple of possible scenarios moving forward here. What is the expectation today, not the beginning of the year, but today for the Toronto Blue Jays? It's something less than getting to the World Series, winning the World Series. It's less than getting to the World Series, probably. But what is the expectation? Like, what do you think this team, what would make this a reasonably successful season? Is it just making the postseason, Dave?
God, no. No. This is, I mean, if you can't get in the postseason this year, there's 6 spots and there's only 7 teams trying, maybe 8 if you stretch it. Most of the American League, not most, but a lot of teams in the American League never have any interest in trying this year. It's crazy. Wins are easy to come by, easier than they've been in a long time, right? With all the teams that have tanked, so just aren't that good. So I mean, you've got to make the playoffs, and I think for their sake, they need to make the playoffs as a higher seed.